The issues that we're facing now have such deep and complex roots, and we're not going to understand them alone. So what if we confronted our past as a social movement, where we're exchanging knowledge across geography, across generation, and we're always asking, how can we do it better together? That's the challenge that inspired the Humanities Action Lab.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad that we're convened together and we'll be able to...
Our coalition is made up of university partners, issue organizations, and exhibiting spaces. The Humanities Action Lab is based at Rutgers University, Newark. We're in 23 cities, and we convene together to study and understand what the most pressing social issue is, to learn from frontline communities what that struggle on the ground looks like.
We all have to develop this trust. We all have to develop rules for engagement, and that's why we spend...
For this particular project, we decided to look at climate and environmental justice.
And many of you pointed to the ways that climate change and environmental degradation were mapping and exacerbating long histories of inequality.
This is a really ambitious experiment in working together to confront our pasts as a way of addressing social issues, but from the vantage point of these very different local communities.
South Louisiana is in many ways a frontline community in terms of coastal destruction. But the other issue that probably gets less attention is this deeper story about the struggle of African American communities in the face of industry and government.
What we're really striving for is a better way of working and relating with each other. The faculty and the students work with the community partners to develop their local story.
We chose to look at St. James, Louisiana, and what is known as Cancer Alley. And the other site that we chose is a place called Gordon Plaza, which is in the Upper Ninth Ward.
That's why we call it the Forgotten Community.
In the case of Gordon Plaza, that community was built on top of a toxic landfill. The students immediately started working on a historical timeline that they hoped community activists could actually use to educate the public.
And what about, have they done anything since then? Nothing?
The community members have been very welcoming to outside support, but it has been important that we all understand and be sensitive to what people are going through every day. We've been working with Mr. Leon Waters. He's giving us a historical understanding of the St. James area and how they're still very resilient. That's been able to give me more of a well-rounded perception of what's going on.
Where we were standing just now, that's a levee guide. They had to build that to hold the water in. And under that levee guide are the remains of many indigenous peoples.
This partnership affords Hidden History the opportunity to collaborate with our future. The students here represent the best hope in the forward progression of society, because hopefully much that is incorrect or wrong in our educational system will get corrected.
While we have so much data about climate change and environmental degradation, that data is not mobilizing people towards action. But what we do know that mobilizes people is stories.
After Hurricane Maria, students in my classes were homeless. Their families had to leave the island. They're starving. And I thought about how empowering it would be for my students if I trained them to collect stories from people in Puerto Rico who have survived the hurricane and the aftermath. We have teams that are going out into 9 communities across Puerto Rico, gathering stories firsthand, and they are the ones who are sharing them.
Yeah, come here. On the boxes right down there, there's a name on one of the boxes called Meals from the Heartland. Yeah.
Our team focuses on what was there before Hurricane Maria and what's not there. Did you get a picture of the water?
Of the water bottle?
Yeah, that's the thing. We try to individualize the catastrophes by each person, by each family. And I think the photography showcased that better than any other way of writing.
Porque entonces, como éramos el único negocio abierto, la gente hacía fila por todos lados.
People always talk about climate change in terms of the future, but of all the issues that we're experiencing now, climate change is a historical one, and understanding how we got here is critical.
The Ironbound used to be Meadowlands, nature's buffer against like sea level rise and storms, but instead Newark is 90% concrete.
If it's a 10-minute rain or a summer rain, our sewer system can't handle it and it actually backs up into the street.
Look at that on the sides.
What? Are you kidding me?
What? I really, look at that. Ooh. Okay, is that exciting for those of you who are sleeping? Look at you, now you smiled, yeah? Finally.
There's water coming in the bus right now, everybody.
Yeah, there is. People think you need a hurricane to do this. We don't. We just need a day full of rain. This is a problem, and not everyone lives this way, okay?
Environmental justice is all about looking at how African American, Latinx, Indigenous, and low-income earning communities face a disproportionate burden. It's also about learning from these communities the ways that they have adapted and resisted.
Es fácil identificar algo como injusto, pero es imposible definir la justicia como tal o el concepto de justicia, ¿verdad?
Vamos a tratar de obtener una definición propia de justicia ambiental con la que vamos a trabajar, ¿ok?
In Mexico City, we had an earthquake in September 2017. We are looking at the reconstruction process and how environmental justice has played a different role in different areas of the city.
Cuando estamos hablando de justicia ambiental, ¿de quiénes estamos hablando? ¿Quiénes están involucrados cuando pensamos en justicia ambiental?
People with low income have been forced to live in those areas at greater risk to earthquakes. So when the earthquake came, they were shattered and the help wasn't getting there. In order for us to integrate all of these dimensions of the problem, we have shifted from being less of a class and more of a workshop.
¿Para qué sirve la justicia ambiental? No solo para ir reponiendo, sino para prevenir precisamente estas catástrofes y que esto va generando una inclusión social.
It has been really important to give them some public policy analysis, so they have more tools to identify specific topics.
Oiga, don Toño, queremos preguntarle algunas cosas sobre el temblor.
Lo que influyó fue el sismo, pero de ahí nosotros creemos que otro factor muy importante es la extracción irracional del agua que existe en San Gregorio.
When we talk about this as a coalition, the people who have been working on the front lines have the most to teach us and the most vision for the future.
As a community organizer, what I like to see is people come in and see if their input is actually what the community really needs. We've been going to those spaces doing activities, and the Regent and his students have participated in a lot of those and helped organize those. They created planters and benches so that they can be installed at the park. They're listening to what the people in the neighborhood are saying, and they're giving us the support that we need. Like, we couldn't afford to pay architects to draw up all of these plans, but they're doing it for us. So it's not only writing about it, but they all actually made impact.
One of the things that we're really interested for all the different constituencies is to explore how history and memory can be brought to bear from whatever institution or sector or career path you wind up in.
We found a group of farm workers who left their countries of origin, often for environmental reasons, and they find themselves challenged again with increasing heat stress and exposure to pesticides. Our project is to tell those stories in words and in drawings.
I'm just trying to get a handle on the shape.
Super interesting, yeah. How do you convey it?
The way we have engaged with this particular issue is to get to know some of the clients of We Count.
Trabajamos en varias áreas, derechos laborales, derechos migratorios. Mi trabajo con los estudiantes es buscar personas, identificar personas que puedan contar sus historias.
It was really important that we got to collaborate with not only architecture students but literature students, because my literature classmates, they definitely had skills that I didn't have to, you know, construct this story, and I had that skill of sketching that they didn't necessarily have, but at the end you get something like so unique.
We all work together to produce a traveling exhibition that highlights all of the local stories. And then we also have a digital platform that has different types of media engaged.
You put those up and this. One of the challenges of the exhibition is the logistics that we want to address and need to address are huge.
If you were going to knock something out because it looked too crowded, what would you knock out?
I think maybe the plane.
The plane, yeah.
Our local story focuses on the movement of goods and the impact of that on the land and landscape.
We're focusing specifically on warehouses and distribution centers in the Inland Empire. We're hoping to highlight the issues around the displacement that's created when warehouses come in and destroy existing neighborhoods.
The visual documentation enables us to bring to a broader public these long histories that we're trying to address. And then to also give us a means by which we can take a local story, put it into a national and a global context, and then carry it around all of these different arenas.
By the end, I'm hoping we'll have just an overview into this industry and who's affected and what's happening on the ground now to fight it.
This project is always expanding, and new communities can continue to come and add their stories to this installation as it travels.
I hope that visitors see themselves in the stories that are presented, and then they feel empowered to look within their own community and figure out how they can rally for a change.